Hey guys, welcome into the Gotham City Brogues podcast. I, of course, am Danny DeVito. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we're here to talk House of the Dragon. How's it going, Mr. Freeze?
Way to reference just the best. This is the best DC movie of all time. Easily the best.
Yeah, how many ice puns did you throw in that one, Arnold? Do you think? Over
None.
under 15?
Not a single one of those were puns. They were all it was just
Meant to
pure
be taken seriously.
artistic dialogue.
So you saying ice to meet you? That was
That's
that was a
Shakespearean,
character
dude.
choice.
Pure
Okay.
Shakespearean.
Yeah, drop in the end. That sounds like them.
Yes.
Yeah, really, that was just poetry in motion. It wasn't at all just a front to get kids to buy a bunch of toys. Is kind of what that whole movie definitely wasn't.
I don't like kids. I like muscles in California, I guess.
Yeah, I gotta be honest though. That was my favorite Batman movie growing up because I had no taste in the characters. Looked the coolest. That one and Batman Forever.
And it looks the coolest. He says, "God, I love it."
I know, it's great. I was also 4, so it doesn't count. Anyway, we're here to talk about House of the Dragon, episode 4, King of the Narrow
Dragons
Sea.
look cool.
This is a good show. Not so many dragons in this one. Just kind of like a quick glimpse. That was about it.
There's enough dragons for me. Was it? It actually only showed the one dragon once, didn't
Yep, in this scene, yep, and it wasn't even like a close-up of the dragon. That kind of kicks off the episode, so I guess we should just discuss what they did. We'll kind of go in order, but also whenever you want to go on a rant, that's fine. Rhaenyra, she continues to decline suitors for her hand, making just embarrassing people in front of all their friends, and it's pretty brutal.
You know, the scene itself is fine. It's like whatever. I didn't care for the whole her jokey stuff. Not that I thought it was bad. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's pretty.
Okay, but calling the guy like, hey, what was it like half a century ago?
Yeah, no,
that was wonderful.
That was a good joke. Yeah, I mean, it felt very Game of Thrones
Right.
until the end. The scene at the end, but that's the part I liked the best was the kid.
Oh yeah, the kid just whips out a sword. I'm like, I don't think anyone saw that coming. To be honest with you, they're just
and then he puts the guy down though. That's the best part.
That's what I mean. Him
That's what I
putting him
didn't see
down,
coming.
him pulling out the sword, you could kind of see coming. But I thought he was gonna get wiped by like the guards there.
No,
or
I
maybe
thought for
even
sure the
other
scene
kid.
was gonna be just like some kid getting murdered and be like, yeah, that's Game of Thrones for you.
Pretty terrible suitor if he's dead. But no, the homeboy just disembowels another guy, so that was pretty cool. And then she ends the tour 2 months early and goes back home to the chagrin of her father.
At the same time as our boy.
Yes, Daemon Targaryen also makes his return to King's Landing. Now, how do you feel about Rhaenyra so far as a character? Because personally, I've been really enjoying her, but we're 4 episodes in. She's clearly the main character. How are we feeling about her?
Dope fire magic, dude. It's an awesome character. It's just likable enough, but it has flaws. I mean, it's as good a character as anyone that I liked in Game of Thrones. I love everything about it.
She seems to like have the later season confidence of Daenerys and like some of the best parts of Daenerys instead of her being, weak and pushed aside like she was at the beginning of that show. We get to start with her already just being a total badass. She's like, "Yo, what up? I'm the princess and I'm going to be queen and you guys can all suck it." And it's cool.
Yeah, but she also makes mistakes and she is young. This episode especially shows that she's still young, and she can sort of still be manipulated. She sort of still rides on her emotions a little bit. So she's probably my favorite character. And she would make my top 5 at this point. I'm assuming she'll make my top 5. Live action Game of Thrones characters.
Yeah, she's up there for me for sure. I'm gonna be honest though, our boy Daemon, he's just doing the Lord's work for most of this episode.
He's fun. He's fun too. He's up there. He's up there. He's a fun guy.
So he returns to King's Landing and pledges his allegiance to his brother once again. I think there's some nefarious intent there, but at the same time, kind of unexpected for him to just roll up with the crown. And he's like, all right, well, clearly I'm not actually the king of the Narrow Sea. You're the king, and I'm going to be a good brother again. But he, at the same time, throwing Lord Corlys under the bus. Like, hey, he just went back home.
Yeah, the interesting part of Daemon that I kind of like the best is I feel like the show, at least this is for me, I guess you could tell me if you feel differently. I think the show is capturing exactly how the characters in the show feel about him. Like, we sort of Like, I don't know. I sort of like him. I sort of trust him. Like, he's got that charm to him that you sort of like, maybe he's changed a little bit. And that's how, that's how
That's how they get you.
Viserys sees him. That's how Rhaenyra sees him. That's how the kingdom sort of sees him. But
Feels kind of Jamie Lannister-esque. Now that
Yeah.
I think about it, he feels kind of like later, like maybe later seasons when he finally kind of leaves his sister.
but Jamie actually does get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Whereas-
then he turns around and undoes it all in the end. So it's kind of like, why'd we have that whole journey?
Sort of. He sort of does. Whereas Damon, I feel like, it's almost like Loki, where it's just constantly like,
He is a little
psych,
Loki-esque.
a little psych right there. Let me get you in the.
Yeah, see how many
So-
times I can die and keep stabbing you in the back and you keep feeling bad for it. Yeah, Loki's a good comp. I like that.
So
I
I like
mean-
it though. It is fun. It's interesting. The political intrigue of him coming back. I was like, this is for something. I wasn't quite sure what it was. I thought maybe it was like a.
I mean, even at the end of the episode, do we really know his true intentions? I mean, kind of,
I
but
feel
not
like
really.
yes. I feel like
Well-
he came with a single intent, and that was to bone his brother by boning Rhaenyra.
His niece. Well, he didn't actually do it though. That's the interesting thing.
I know, but he accomplished his goal. He accomplished his goal of like
Tarnishing the
hurting his
reputation.
brother. He wanted to
Right.
hurt his brother.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
something about this sibling rivalry. Like, why is he so mad at his brother? This whole time, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm the older brother. I'm like, he seems to be pretty cool to you. Like, he's not being a jerk. It was kind of
you're right.
implied you were going to be the heir, and he just keeps stabbing him in the back. You're like, you know what? Shut up, brother. I'm just going to keep doing all the worst things just because I can. And it's like, why?
I mean, part of it's just that it's who he is. Damon's sort of a tool. He kind of can't help. I mean, I like that it shows that part. When he wakes up from the brothel at the end. I know we're jumping around, but when he wakes up at the brothel at the end, that's the first time I realized, like, oh, he kind of, like, has a problem. He, like, can't really control how drunk he's getting. He can't, you know what I mean? So part of it makes me think that, like, Damon doesn't always want to be a jerk. He just always has been. He can't really help it.
He can't
And so
turn it around. Yeah, he kind of. I guess he kind of just has that established character trait to the whole kingdom. So I don't know. Maybe he has like some weird reverse pressure situation where he has to live up to his tarnished name, type of thing. Where like, if he actually does the right thing, he's betraying who he is. But at the same time, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I
just
think
weird.
he probably feels like if I was just accepted for who I am, I'd stop being such a jerk. Whereas Viserys is like, dude, I do accept you for who you are, and you just keep being a jerk.
That's true.
So
Having
it's-
his brother's approval has never been his goal, which is unfortunate because he's the most powerful man in the kingdom. So it's like, why poke the hornet's
It
nest?
is
Like,
and it isn't, though, because it does feel like he really does want his brother's approval. Except that, like, when he gets a chance at it, he can't help
just ruining it again.
but, like, ruin it. You know what I mean? It's weird. I kind of like it. It does feel like Loki in that way.
Yep, that's a very good comp, and I hadn't thought of it in that way, and that's great.
Dude, I am on the Marvel Stuff podcast every week except this week.
Except this week, where you didn't watch She-Hulk. Shout out to Noah, the other my co-host on this podcast.
I mean, that goes to show that, I mean, even no matter how drunk and over I was all weekend, I still, when it
You
came
still
down
made
to
your
it,
way to
I
House of
made
the
sure to watch
Dragon.
it.
Yeah, just not the established podcast we've had for a year. It's fine.
Nah, it's
No, but
alright.
actually, this is a better show, and I don't think anyone's going to deny that. We're jumping to Alicent. We can kind of just talk about how she's the queen and she feels lonely because no one ever sees her as, the Hightower's daughter anymore. Now she's the queen, so she doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, this is
kind of
the
a-
best. This is the best Allison episode yet. I feel like I liked how sweet she's been so far. I kind of like that even though she sort of did take advantage of the king, she's done her best with it. And it shows a little bit that she does care about the king, even sort of against the will of her father. Even though and then she still really wants to be friends with Rhaenyra, even though, like, she kind of put herself in a
Yeah,
tough situation because of her
Now
dad.
you're the stepmom, so it makes it pretty weird to be their friend.
I've seen weirder, I'll tell you that, but we don't need to talk about that. But it's good. She's really cool. I like the exactly right that she has this weird, like, I want to be nice to everyone. I want everyone to like me and get along. But I put myself in this situation with a man that I can be nice to, but I don't really want to be with. I don't really care about.
Well, yeah, you can't fault her for that. She can like, I guess, the spirit of the guy, because the king, for all his, kind of faults here, he does seem like, at his core, to be a good person. Like, he
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
seem like he's trying to throw the realm into the wolves, or he's the all-powerful and he can take what he wants when he pleases. He seems to be a pretty level-headed king. He's not,
Yeah.
what was Robert Baratheon. Like, that guy was a tool and an idiot. This
Right.
king
No, you're
seems
right.
to be, pretty great. But at the same time, it gets so weird. Some of this episode, I don't even know. Like, I guess trigger warning with what happens in the future. If you've seen the episode, you know what we're going to talk about. There's like a borderline non-consensual, but like just completely like she just dissociated the whole time that she was banging her husband, because she was not interested in banging.
Oh,
this
okay,
old man.
we're gonna go there. Yeah,
We're gonna jump. I mean, we might as well. We're talking Allison.
there's a lot of different sex scenes, but we'll start with this one. That yeah, it's an interesting scene. It does exactly what you said. It shows that she's alone. It shows that, hey, even though she's nice to him as much as she can, and it shows that the last 2 episodes that she really is, but she isn't happy where she's at. She's sort of just doing her duty as a woman in the kingdom, which is tough, and it's good because it shows this is exactly what Rhaenyra doesn't want to have happen. Like,
Yeah, and they make that in the conversation they have later in this episode, which was one of my favorite scenes. I would say is just them going back and forth about the duties of a woman within the kingdom.
Yeah, they have that conversation.
Yep.
So that this scene makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
So I like that one. Plus, it does a little bit of subtextual, like the scene before it. Plus, this scene sort of gives that subtextual, like, hey, don't forget that disease, man. King's getting worse. He's going down soon.
I'm glad they brought that back, because that's something that they didn't acknowledge for 2 episodes. But you can't really blame them. How far did we jump in this episode? Because it says, I think, is it 5 years? I think it's 5.
No. This episode?
Between the last episode, she was pregnant with the second kid.
Yeah,
the
and now the
kid's
second
clearly
kid's like,
born.
yeah, maybe 2 months old.
Is
Maybe-
okay.
maybe
No,
2
you're
to
right.
5
You're right.
months.
You're 100% right. Yep. It's it's 5 months, not 5 years. That
2 to
makes more
5 months.
sense.
Yeah.
My fault.
Which is good. I like that it's a little bit less of a jump, but it's still enough for the characters to keep moving. And yeah, let's keep going on. I think all the sex scenes sort of have an interesting.
Well, the fact that they intertwine them all is kind of they were all kind of back to back to back, and it was kind of the middle portion of this episode. So I guess if there's anything else we want to talk about in the beginning here, I put Daemon and Rhaenyra. They had their chat in High Valyrian about the duties to the crown as like I guess there's specified roles. I found all that interesting, and it's weird that they have a sexual tension, and it's been there since episode 1. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that it's like, clearly they're weirdly into each other.
It is weird, but it's also not. I mean, it's weird, but it's not at the same time. Number one, like, it's been established in this show at least 4 or 5 references to the fact that, like, that's just sort of the way it is in the Targaryen family.
Right.
For some people it's weird. For them, it's not the most weird thing. So, and that's true of time. I mean, man, back in the day,
I would argue the Lannisters being twins was a lot grosser, so there you go.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, back in the day, that was just the way it was to keep bloodlines pure and stuff. So, it is weird, but it's also not at the same time. She's a young woman. She doesn't get to go experience a lot of the world, right? Most of who she sees in life are exactly what she says. Lords who just want her for her title. Knights and servants that just sort of work for her.
It would be a nice appeal to have someone who doesn't have much to gain from being with you. It's kind of like there's nothing you're really gaining here. It's more just we want to be together.
Plus, there's a little bit of grooming-ish situation going on here. I think the episode does a
100%.
decent job of establishing that. Right? She was young when she knew him. She's kind of grow up seeing him be this cool rebel, and she gets to be like, she's sort of a young rebel now. It makes sense, and he takes advantage of her. I don't know how much he takes advantage of her because he really likes her, or he really is just trying to.
That was the interesting thing. It felt like a combination of the two. It was a political move with some like honest feelings behind it, which in and of itself is a bit strange. But we already talked about how it's like, listen, we get that incest is a thing in this universe, so let's just ignore that part of it. The fact that he told her about these secret pathways through the castle, and like they go and dress up and go through this has happened in other shows and other movies. We've seen it before, but she gets to experience what it's like in real life. Those scenes were pretty cool. The fact that she was in disguise and she got to like go down and they see the puppet show, which was
Yeah, no, it's very reminiscent.
strategically placed.
A lot of shows of this ilk, like Witcher, kind of has a similar scene.
Yep.
A lot of things that are based in medieval, you get that whole like, oh, let the queen go experience the real world. How fun is that? You know, Aladdin does it. And it's nice, but it does go to show that like, yeah, it's a good setup for the fact that he's trying to take advantage of her. He wants to like show her all these things so he can get in the moment. But what was really interesting to me is that he caves in the moment. There's no real reason for him to cave.
Not at that point. Yeah.
Other than I think it's either because he cares about her and doesn't want to hurt her, or it's because he deep down he cares about Viserys and like was like, I really wanted to screw you over.
There's
like,
also the third option that he doesn't want to beg his niece, but that's not on the top of the list.
I'll tell you right now that there's 0% of that. It was either that he didn't want to hurt her or he didn't really want to hurt his brother.
Right.
He couldn't do it when it mattered. I think that's the one. That's going to be my guess. So I thought that was interesting that he caved. And I was a little surprised with how she reacted afterwards.
It was because she tried to chase him down, totally exposing herself. Not like physically, but her being there with her uncle was shown to the public at that point. There was some weird ass orgy at the brothel. I mean, that's classic, Game of Thrones scene where you can't fast forward through it because
that's just classic HBO. That's just classic HBO Max.
That's true.
They've been doing that since Spartacus, baby. That's right, Broncos.
HBO is all about that life. But it did lead to her. I don't know. Maybe it unlocked something in her where she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like a grown woman now, and I'm trying to take what I want." And then she hooks up with Kristen Cole, which is what I've secretly been rooting for this entire show. And
obviously, that's what the show wants you to.
I know, but I bought it, and hook, line, and sinker. Call me a sucker. As soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh yeah, I really want them to be a thing." And lucky me, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out, but it doesn't work out. I mean, because now she didn't have sex with her brother, so that's good. But Uncle. She was sullied, as they call it, which I just that. Every time they say it, it makes me uncomfortable because I just hate that idea. But that's the way it was.
Well, I like how she blatantly calls out the sexism. Like, if I were born a male, like I could have half a dozen bastards by now, and no one would bat an eye. I was like, let's go. I mean, it's weird that they're throwing like almost female empowerment within a show like this, because that's not common practice.
I feel like that was the point. I feel like that was not the point, but that's a big part of what this show is supposed to be. That's why it's centered around her. That's why she gets to have a lot of the steam to create those sort of moments.
I definitely appreciate it because I mean it's showing. I mean her developing as a young woman. Like she goes from I think she starts at 14 at the beginning of the show. Now she's over 18, living her womanhood life type of thing, and it's great.
It was as slow and romantic as any sex scene they did.
I put that it was the world's slowest strip down to where it was almost comical because the man was in full armor and they showed them taking off every individual piece
and then like putting them together slowly.
That was wild. I was like, this they could have made this scene so much shorter. Is it better or worse for it? I don't know, but I found it funny.
Yeah.
Like, how can you keep the mojo going that long? It's like sometimes if your pants get stuck on your ankle, it automatically makes things weird. It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll just laugh about this. But there was no laughing. It was more like, all right, well, we're going to spend 30 minutes.
But it is a difference. I think that's a difference to our time, right? We live in a society now where we have anxiety and we get worried about things. And when we show each other our naked bodies, we get worried about it. People back then just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like that part.
What's up, dude? What you
like we're having sex. Like that's good stuff. Like we're.
Yeah. What are we even talking about right now?
Okay. I mean, maybe that's just the way it's portrayed, but like it's always portrayed as if like erectile dysfunction and stuff like didn't exist back then. You just sort of did it with anything all the time.
Yep. So that
it was
kind of covers the sex scenes, and that's cool. Side note here. Damon's old girl, Massar, shows up, saves his ass because he got pissed drunk and just kind of fell asleep in the street. It kind of seems that she's no longer his, like, sworn wife or whatever for Dragonstone. Sure. I know, but when did that happen? Are we going to get more of a story behind it?
Maybe, but I think it sort of set it up in the other episode where she was like...
I can't have kids or don't want kids.
Yeah, well, that he was using her as a political thing, like lying about the fact that she was having kids. She was like, "No, I'm not trying to get murdered because they think I'm carrying your kid. Like, I'm get me out of here."
I mean, saving herself a little bit, and that's probably a smart move on her part. and she's slowly becoming like some kind of badass in her own way. I mean, I think she's going to be a political figure moving forward eventually.
I think she's going to be dead, and she's going to be one of those first, like, oh, we really didn't want to see her die characters.
You think so?
I think so.
I think she's so unimportant that people wouldn't care that much if she died, but...
That's what I'm saying, but I think they're just going to keep slowly building her up.
Oh, you don't mean like next episode they're going to kill her. You mean in like 4 episodes after she has more storyline they'll kill her. Yeah, I could see that too. I'm saying that she's got something coming on in the next few episodes, I would say.
Yeah, depending on how they keep doing this time jump things, it seems like this next one's going to be a bit of a jump because it's the way it ends. I don't really know.
We can keep moving forward here. The Hand fucking tattles on Rhaenyra and Daemon. He takes the info that he got from his little bird. Yes, I did notice that it was very similar to the little birds in the old show.
Oh, absolutely.
Intentional.
I'm trying to figure out... This is what I'm trying to figure out from this episode, because it's tough, because you know that he set Alicent up with him on purpose. You know he really, really, really wants his grandson to be the king.
He showed his hand a little bit too much, and I think he paid for it, because, I mean, by the end of the episode, he gets his fucking...
He did, but I don't... Personally, I don't think he told the king because he thought it was a good political move. I think he did it out of some weird sense of... I don't know, it's hard to say.
Well, I mean... Yeah, maybe it wasn't a political thing. More, it was just like he felt there was a need out of like some weird kinship he feels with the king, and
that's
it didn't work out in his benefit. I could see that being the case as well. He, I mean, being the Hand of the King, for some reason within these shows, is kind of like he's automatically going to be one of those things. I just saw it. Yeah, is this a Monday Night Football live stream? Sure isn't. I would hope so.
Sure isn't. But Broncos country, let's ride. Seahawks are up 10-3 if that helps.
Yeah, I need Russell Wilson to score 10 points so I can win my work league. So I'm sure I'll pull that off by the end here. Money says that's Ryan Bush commenting on the episode right now. God, I love that guy. Anyway, Hand of the King, he shows his hand, and no good. I'm going to close these comments because it's throwing me off track.
I know, Bush is the worst. I hope it is Bush. Let's ride.
Coach, talk about it, though.
Dude, I was thrown off. What did you ask?
The Hand of the King, the fact that he lost his position, it's a sense
of
like...
Oh, good.
It kind of seems like he's just like trying to be a good friend by telling it on his daughter, but at the same time, it's like... It was a bad move in both scenarios. Like, it was some sense of justice in his mind to tell the king.
Yeah,
like,
I got two things I want to go here on this. Number one, this is why this is the best Alicent episode, that she's able to, like, have her own agency in this conversation.
Yep.
She doesn't just act as, like, this will of her dad. She sort of is like, no, like, I don't love that he did this. Let me go back and talk to Rhaenyra about it. So I like all that stuff. So that was what made it cool. We already talked about her a little bit. As for Otto, I think the king and what Otto does, it all is the best that it can be, I think. I feel like the king is like, hey, you might not have done it just to screw me over, but I can't really trust you at this point. Like,
well, Rhaenyra calls out the bullshit.
Yeah, Rhaenyra calls it out.
She's like, hey, listen, like, I'll do my duty, because she does get sworn to wed her weird... It wasn't her cousin, though. It was the sea snake's son.
It's her cousin.
Is it her cousin? Okay,
yeah.
He had a Sir Laenor. That's what I have.
Yes, Viserys' sister's son.
Yeah, Laenor, yeah. He has a different... He doesn't have Corlys as his last name. Maybe he does, and I just misheard it. It doesn't matter. But she says that he first has to establish, like, do his kingly duties and fire the hand, because she calls out, like, it's pretty obvious that this teenage girl wouldn't choose to go comfort you in your time of need.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it was pretty blatant. And do you really think the king didn't realize that, or this was kind of like the last straw? He's like, I cannot allow this anymore.
I think the way the king says it is exactly what it is. He's like, I knew that it was sort of a political move, but now that I see this move and now I see the next move, I'm realizing just how politically keen it was. And like there becomes a point where it's like, hey, buddy, like we did this, and you just kept doing little itty bitty jabs behind my back. You got to get going.
It's too much. Yep, I love it. We're not quite to the firing, but we all know that's what happens. We get to talk about Alicent going with her second meetup with Rhaenyra, and kind of asking her to explain herself. And Rhaenyra successfully deflects the accusations, like, listen, I didn't hook up with my uncle. She very conveniently forgot to, communicate that she's no longer a virgin too.
Yeah, she hooked up with someone else, but yeah.
Not her uncle, so I guess that's progress.
Yeah, but again, that's the point. The point is that no one else would care. Like, the kingdoms wouldn't care. They'd be like, oh, yeah, she's not a perfect virgin, blah, blah, blah. That's when you set him on fire with the dragon. I feel like that's the line. Damon says it, and I like this. Is one of his best lines.
Dragon
like,
witch trials.
Eat shit. Whatever the lords think about her virginity. You're the king. Tell them to kick rocks, dude. Be like...
Yeah,
oh,
I mean, there's a certain dictator in North Korea that apparently has never taken a shit in his entire life. So that's real power when you can say shit like that, and everyone's gonna be like, "Yep, guess that's true."
Guess that's the way it is.
It's kind of the same thing as like the Lannisters. Like, pretty much everyone kind of knew they were banging, but like didn't want to say it because they're like, "That's gross."
Yeah, I mean, when you
also,
have a dragon,
she was the queen.
When you have a dragon, it's even more so. Like, it really, really kick rocks to that point.
But then the king has his own conversation with his brother, and we found it interesting that the brother doesn't deny sleeping with her. What do you feel his motivation was in not telling the truth?
I mean, exactly what it was, right? He had already accomplished his goal. He was like, hey, I was here to hurt you. I've done it. Now you're in a bad spot. And then during that bad spot, he tries to pull a little political gambit and, try to...
I'll marry her off, and she's a sworn lady at that point. Yeah, but he's already... Yeah. I mean, Damon did what he could do. I don't know if he's overplayed his hand and he's going to get sent to the stupid whatever Stone Rocks or whatever palace he lives in that no one cares about at this moment.
With his wife that we just have... Have we ever seen his wife? I don't think we have.
Apparently she's ugly. That's the only thing we know about her. It's just she's super gross and he wants to stay away from her as much as possible.
We're going to see her and she's going to be Jessica Alba and I'm going to fucking laugh my ass off.
Oh, that would be really funny if they went around. Oh my god, what was it in the other guys? Will Ferrell's wife, was it Eva Mendes?
Yeah.
He keeps calling her ugly. Oh my god, if it's something like that, that would be hilarious. But that might be outside of like at this point we're just making a comedy. Damon did deny. I thought it was weird, but we talked about the thoughts behind that. Now we have the father-daughter bickering scenario.
It's the best part of every episode. For me, the best part of every episode to me is Viserys and Rhaenyra's dynamic.
They're very fun to watch because they both make really good points, and Rhaenyra's just always going to be a rebel and just a contrarian to what her father wants and says. And I assume someone just scored a touchdown because he just
Jerry Jeudy dude made a nasty play for a big touchdown. This is obviously
unimportant.
A live stream.
Yes, it is a live stream. But Rhaenyra, we already said she swears to marry her cousin. And cool stuff. The king finally realizing the hand pawned off his daughter. I put get fucking bodied. Hightower. He's out of here. What are his moves, do you think? I mean, he's kind of out of them. What can he do at this point? It's not like he can take his daughter back. He could kill his daughter if he's really feeling, some sort of moxie. But I don't think he'll go that far.
Yeah, no. I don't think so. I think I feel like he's going to have a similar arc to, what's-his-face, the knight who had the dragon scale and then came back because he loved the queen. No. The good guy for...
Oh, Sir Jorah Mormont?
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be something sort of like that where he's not trying to come back to power, but he wants to atone for his sort of mistake. I think that's how it's going to go, but I don't think he's going to be like Littlefinger and try to be the person who screws anyone over.
I mean, we're gonna see. Yeah, I guess it would kind of be like a kind of hacky at this point to have the hand be the ultimate manipulator again. So, my last note on here is I thought it was hilarious that they have medieval ancient Plan B in T form. That was pretty funny. Like, hey, this is to atone for any mistakes you might have made. I'm like, oh my god. You're just selling old Plan B. I love it.
Oh, it's clever, and it shows what it is, and it's a little. It shows that it's serious because it's probably something that isn't readily available in these times.
Right.
It's hard to brew, as he says. So, and it sets up for future episodes where it's gonna be like, hey, we're gonna cut this off at the knees, just so you know, she's not gonna have kids. At least not anytime soon. Not
not her uncle's kid, but actually Kristen Cole's kid. Is she going to want to try and marry that guy? Because he's kind of sworn to, I don't know, celibacy. Not celibacy, but like he's not allowed to get married.
I think he is sworn to celibacy, actually. I'm pretty sure that.
But they all know that the Kingsguard just go to the whorehouses and bang chicks and no one cares. So it's like, it's
That's
one of
your
those
point.
fake things. Yeah.
If they don't bang the queen, though, that's how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't think so. I think maybe he'll go with her to
Wherever she's going.
to Valeria. So I do think he's going to be around plenty.
That's going to be fun. Yep, he's giving me Grey Worm vibes a little bit. He kind of seems like he's going to be that esque of a character to Daenerys, the soldier that used to be part of the army. You remember him?
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being closer. I don't know. It almost seems like he's just going to not quite the. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm interested.
there's really no reason to comp them to characters that already exist within this universe. I want to know how this is all
It
going to go
happens
down.
sometimes. It happens sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
it'll be fun. I don't think we're going to see her naked again for quite a while, so hope you enjoyed it during the sex scene they had while they had it.
yeah, they pretty
gotta
expertly
go.
covered most things, I would say. So, good on them. Shout out to this show. I'm having a good time. Thank you, Coach, for joining me once again. Check out the Marvel Stuff podcast. Check out Gotham City Rogues as you are right now. And see you guys next week.
Absolutely.
Broncos country. Let's
Broncos
ride.
country, let's ride.